Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is sitting at dinner with their family and checking their phone. A student is supposed to be studying and has checked their phone 11 times in the last hour. Someone just woke up at 3 a.m., told themselves they were only going to check the time, and is now 20 minutes deep into a scroll they don't remember starting. This is not a willpower problem. This is not laziness. This is one of the most sophisticated psychological traps ever engineered, and it was built specifically to exploit a brain that evolved 200,000 years ago. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You are not addicted to your phone. You are addicted to what your phone promises might be there. And that distinction is everything. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner was running experiments on pigeons. He wanted to understand how rewards shape behavior. He built boxes, now called Skinner boxes, where a pigeon could press a lever to receive food. When the reward came after every single press, the pigeon would peck steadily and stop when it was full. Predictable reward produced predictable behavior. But then, Skinner tried something different. He made the reward random. Sometimes pressing the lever gave food, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes the pigeon had to press 5 times, sometimes 50. It never knew when the reward would land. The result was extraordinary. The pigeons became frantic. They pressed the lever obsessively, far beyond what they needed, far beyond what made any rational sense. And when Skinner removed the reward entirely, those birds kept pressing anyway. Long after the food stopped, the behavior continued. Skinner had accidentally discovered the most powerful behavior-producing mechanism in the history of psychology. He called it the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. And casinos discovered it too. It is the exact mechanic that makes slot machines so difficult to walk away from. You never know when the next pull will pay out. That uncertainty is not a design flaw. It is the entire product. Now think about what happens when you pull down to refresh your social media feed. You do not know what is coming. Maybe nothing interesting. Maybe a message from someone you care about. Maybe a piece of news that changes your day. Maybe something that makes you laugh. You don't know, and that not knowing is precisely what makes you do it again. Every scroll is a lever pull. Every refresh is a spin of the slot machine. This was not an accident. Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, admitted in 2017 that the platform was deliberately designed to exploit, in his words, a vulnerability in human psychology. The like button was described as a social validation feedback loop engineered to deliver a little dopamine hit every time someone responds to your post. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, said publicly that the smartphone interface is functionally identical to a slot machine. These systems were built by people who knew exactly what they were building. But here is where it gets deeper, because the reason this works so well on humans is not simply that we are weak. It is that we are built for this. Go back 200,000 years, your ancestors lived in small social groups of around 150 people. In that world, information about other people was not a distraction. It was survival. Knowing who was angry with whom, who had formed a new alliance, who was sick, who was being generous, and who was being selfish. This was the information that determined whether you would be protected, fed, and included or isolated, and left to die alone. Your brain did not evolve to ignore social information. It evolved to hunger for it, the same neural reward circuitry that fired when an ancestor spotted ripe fruit or fresh animal tracks fires today. When you see a notification badge, your brain treats that little red circle the same way it once treated a rustling in the grass, as a signal that something relevant might be there, as something you need to check. The notification badge is red on purpose. Red signals urgency at a neurological level that predates smartphones by evolutionary timescales. Someone made a deliberate decision to make it red because people who associate red with immediate importance check their phones more frequently. Researchers at the frontiers of psychology have called this hypernatural monitoring. Your brain is wired to track social information constantly, to monitor who is doing what people think of you, whether anything has changed in your social world. For hundreds of thousands of years, that monitoring had a natural limit. You could only know what happened within the boundaries of your village. The information available to you was finite. Your smartphone removed that limit. Now, The feed is infinite, there is always more. Another post, another story, another reaction, another piece of news. The natural stopping cue, the moment when you had checked in on everyone and processed all available information, no longer exists, so your ancient brain keeps looking, because somewhere, in its deep wiring, it still believes that information about other people is the most important information there is. This is also why the pull to refresh gesture is so specifically powerful. The physical act of pulling down and releasing mimics the exact motion of pulling a slot machine lever. This was not a coincidence in the design, it was an insight. You are not refreshing a data feed. You are pulling the lever, you are checking if today is the day you win. The average person checks their phone around 96 times per day. That is once every 10 minutes. During waking hours, studies have found that many people experience something researchers call phantom vibration syndrome. The sensation that your phone is buzzing when it isn't, your nervous system so primed to expect a notification that it starts generating false signals. Your body is waiting for information that evolution says could change your life. Your phone is built by engineers who know that and have calculated exactly how to keep that waiting feeling alive. There is one more layer to this that makes it particularly difficult to escape. Dopamine, the brain chemical most associated with this cycle, is not actually a pleasure chemical. That is a common misconception. Dopamine is an anticipation chemical. It does not spike when you get the reward. It spikes when you think you might. The moment before you pull to refresh, your brain is already flooded with dopamine. The moment you see the results, whether the notification is interesting or completely boring, the dopamine drops. That crash is subtle, but it is real, and the fastest way to bring it back is to check again. This is why you can scroll for 20 minutes and feel worse at the end of it than when you started. You were chasing anticipation, not satisfaction. And a system optimized for engagement has no incentive to give you satisfaction. Satisfied people put their phones down. Anticipating people keep scrolling. None of this means you are helpless. Understanding the mechanism is the beginning of having some control over it. When you feel the pull to check your phone, what you are actually feeling is an evolutionary drive for social information, activating a system that was engineered deliberately to feel exactly like something important might be there. Most of the time, nothing important is there. Your ancestors would have found that remarkable. A device that perfectly mimics the sensation of urgent social information and almost never delivers anything that actually changes your life would have been unimaginable to them. To you, it is just Tuesday morning. The phone is not smarter than you. It just knows something very specific about the brain you were born with. And it was built by people who spent billions of dollars figuring out exactly how to use that knowledge to keep you looking.